Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, and my colleague Russell Berger with the Labor and Employment Group of Offit Kurman. So this week we are talking about technology and the workplace, both how it's impacting recruitment, retention, the amount of employees that people have as administrative burdens are increasing, as far in the cost of having employees is increasing, and then also just how technology is impacting the way that employers manage their workforces. And so on one hand, technology is streamlining operations in the way that you can manage your workforce, but on the other hand, costs of retaining employees and training employees and having a large workforce are going up. So what are you seeing, Russell?
Yeah, well, I think right now, particularly as we are dealing with, it's a hard market to hire in right now, frankly. And, when you consider that, you consider, the potential increases to minimum wage, depending on where you are, which, in theory will trickle up. It's getting harder to find good work and, affordable good work. And so it's going to change the cost benefit analysis for employers when you contrast that with the possibility of automating and using technology to get certain jobs done. So I think what we're starting to see, we're kind of on like the initial cusp of it, but I suspect we'll see more of it over the next few years, is employers, when it's hard to hire, when it's expensive to hire, just looking at not hiring, but using technology as, as a workaround.
Yeah, I think this is a topic that is definitely on employers' minds right now after just dealing with COVID, or still dealing with COVID since March of 2020, and dealing with all of the burdens that have come with that as well. I know that HR departments are really strapped and trying to figure out strategies and solutions around keeping their workforce safe and dealing with this virus. And that we're talking about vaccine mandates and just all the things that we've talked about on these episodes. These huge administrative burdens related to COVID, related to other policies and procedures and things that employers need to put in place. So in addition to just getting someone on board, making sure it's the right talent, and then also making sure that the numbers make sense, there's also just a lot more red tape and administrative burden that's going on right now. And some technology can help streamline that, but it's a burden nonetheless, for sure.
Right. Well, and kind of taking it a different way and tying it back into COVID, because we can't go one of these episodes without talking about COVID. And one of the big issues now is, and we talked about last week, mandatory vaccinations and how they seem to be rising in popularity. We see more employers utilizing them. One piece of that might be actually getting proof of vaccination from employees. So, how are you going to do that? Are you going to have your HR person, try to collect them all, or can you automate it? Can you, do you have a digital platform where you could gather that information, keeping in mind that it still has to be secure and confidential, and you've still got to comply with ADA requirements around gathering that information? Is there a way to make the process easier? Are there ways to make requests for accommodations from a mandatory vaccination policy easier? I mean, these are going to be important, particularly for employers that have a number of employees, because you might get a number of these requests. It's going to be has the potential to be more widespread than an individual who's coming forward with their own issue independent of a pandemic.
Yeah, I think that making these policy decisions is really always the first part of the conversation, not the last part, because it's once you make the decision, I mean, the decision's hard to make about whether you're going to mandate and what you're going to do, but then there is these practical aspects of making sure that you do it properly. And while since a lot of industries aren't able to fully automate their workforce yet, or still are dealing with large employee populations in different states, some industries still have a lot of people coming in person, that while you're looking at automation options and maybe certain reductions in workforce in the years to come, in the interim, using technology to help manage those processes and making them a little bit more exact, having more documentation that's more easily available at your fingertips in a secure manner, can also help on the litigation side, or with different compliance pieces. So Definitely something to be looking at in all aspects of the business.
Yeah, well, and to take it another step further, as talking about employee hiring and retention and the challenges with that. Another way to look at technology as it could be a retention tool as well. I mean, obviously, like we now have technology to let a lot of employees work remotely. That's something that doesn't exist without laptops and VPNs and webcams and all the stuff that you and I are both using right now to record this. Can you get efficient? Can you use technology to make not necessarily eliminate the amount of work you're getting from your employees, but to make them more efficient, to make them happier in the way that they're doing the work, so that you keep the good employees, you keep them retained, you can keep staff engaged, but you get more out of them, and they're happy to stay with you.
Yeah, it makes their jobs easier and makes things operations run more smoothly for sure. So definitely, there's been huge leaps and bounds made over COVID in that respect. So, well, we're interested to see what's ahead, especially as it relates to the, the video universe and how we're conducting business. So, thanks, Russell.
Thanks, Sarah.